All right, welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving straight into what is, honestly, a massive financial wake-up call for San Diego homeowners. We're talking about an invisible threat to your wallet. Look, if you live anywhere near the coast, you absolutely need to listen up, because what we're going over today could literally save you thousands of dollars in totally unexpected surprise repairs.
Here's the crazy thing. Coastal AC units face salt air corrosion 5 times faster than inland systems. 5 times! So yeah, that beautiful, refreshing ocean breeze you love so much, it's highly likely it's just eating away at your very expensive air conditioning equipment right now. We are talking about aluminum coils oxidizing and copper lines dissolving at a truly alarming rate compared to units just a few miles away. Section 1. The Hidden Coastal AC Threat. Let's look at how salt air destroys ACs. Now, I know what you might be thinking. You're sitting there saying, well, I don't live right on the sand, so I'm perfectly fine, right? Actually, no. The data shows that salt from those crashing ocean waves actually travels inland for 3 to 5 miles. It just gets caught up in the atmosphere, drifts right through your neighborhood, and settles on exposed outdoor metal. This triggers a relentless, non-stop chemical reaction on your AC's condenser unit.
And here's where it starts quietly siphoning money right out of your pocket, every single month. This accumulating layer of salt, it doesn't just corrode the metal. It literally blocks the vital airflow your system desperately needs to breathe. So it forces your system to work 15 to 20% harder just to cool the exact same house. You're simultaneously jacking up your monthly electric bill while wearing out all those internal components so much faster.
Section 2. Inland vs. Coastal Maintenance. Let's break down the maintenance differences.
What's wild here is how your exact geographic location completely dictates your maintenance reality. Think about it. An inland home out in Lakeside might run perfectly fine for 12 whole months on just a standard seasonal check. But a coastal unit in Coronado, that exact same piece of machinery will show serious, system-threatening corrosion damage in just 3 to 4 months. It is an entirely different atmospheric environment.
So, if you're out there getting a standard tune-up from a typical contractor, you're honestly paying for an illusion. Generic inland maintenance, it only checks refrigerant levels, basic electrical connections, and swaps out your filters. It gives you this false sense of security because it completely misses the highly specialized early warning corrosion checks that your coastal unit desperately needs to actually survive that salt air.
Section 3. The Coastal Maintenance Protocol. It's time for 4 times yearly maintenance.
If you're near the coast, you require a much more aggressive, proactive approach. You really need a 4 times a year schedule. We're talking a spring coil cleaning to wash off that heavy winter salt buildup, then a summer mid-season inspection, a fall post-summer cleaning, and finally, a winter pre-holiday check before the heating season kicks in. This tight frequency is uniquely designed to aggressively combat that relentless salt accumulation before it even has time to eat through your copper lines.
And remember, it's not just about doing the same basic checks more often. The actual protocol itself has to change entirely. Instead of basic air blowouts, technicians literally must use fresh water and marine-grade cleaners. They have to do deep copper pinhole inspections. Sometimes they even add a UV dye to spot those microscopic leaks. They also must conduct electrical resistance tests because, you guessed it, salt destroys terminal contacts. Plus, they need to supply frequent fan motor lubrication, usually every 4 to 6 months, because that salt severely clogs up those tiny motor bearings.
Now, what if you're lucky enough to live right on the water? Well, if you're directly on the beachfront, you actually must add an extra coil cleaning specifically in June. The reason for this is fascinating, actually. The salt spray is at its absolute heaviest during those thick morning marine layers that are so typical of early San Diego summers. The salt concentration is just way too intense to wait for a fall checkup.
Section 4. The Cost of Doing Nothing. Let's weigh preventative versus failure costs. The math on this is just undeniable. Yes, okay, coastal maintenance does cost slightly more upfront with a specialized tune-up running about $280. But compare that preventative cost to the inevitable failure cost. We are looking at over $1,000 for a single pinhole leak repair, or, brace yourself, up to $3,500 if corroded electrical terminals fry your main compressor. A $280 tune-up is a tiny, tiny fraction of the thousands you'll end up spending on emergency repairs.
Furthermore, time is severely working against you here. While inland systems usually fail really slowly over a long period from just general mechanical wear, coastal systems fail specifically from corrosion. And the really scary part, once the unit hits 10 years old, that corrosion becomes exponential. So if your system is hovering around that 10-year mark, you're essentially sitting on a ticking time bomb without aggressive coastal care.
Section 5. DIY tips and next steps. Here's how you can slow the damage down yourself.
The good news, you are not completely helpless against the ocean air. You can actually cut salt buildup by an amazing 60% just by gently rinsing your outdoor coils with a standard garden hose once a month. Just be super sure to spray gently from the inside out so you don't accidentally push the salt deeper into those delicate fins. Also, throw up a simple windscreen if your unit is highly exposed to the ocean breeze. Check your filters monthly because salt clogs them up incredibly fast. And keep a really sharp eye out for any white powdery coating on the metal. That white powder is the very first visible sign of oxidation.
And hey, when you do call a professional, do not leave it to chance. Empower yourself by telling your HVAC contractor exactly what you need. Tell them, I need coastal maintenance, not standard maintenance. I live this many miles from the coast. Be super specific with them. You want to ensure they don't just run the exact same lazy, generic checks they do on an inland Santee unit.
Which brings us to our final takeaway. Coastal maintenance simply isn't an optional household chore. It is a financial survival tactic. So I'm going to leave you with this final question to ask yourself the next time you step outside and smell that wonderful, salty ocean breeze. Is the ocean eating your AC right now? Protect your investment, everyone, and thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.